In today's video, we're going to be rearranging my day gecko enclosure, so if you guys want to check it out, stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Josue from Josue's Exotics, and if you're new to the channel, we make videos about reptiles and amphibians and how to take care of them, just like this video today. So if you're interested, consider subscribing. So pretty much today what we're going to be doing is taking everything out of the actual enclosure and cleaning everything, and we're going to move around the plants a little bit and add some more soil in there to give the plants some more nutrients and things, and give the geckos some more enrichment really. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and start taking stuff out. We're going to leave the gecko inside of here for right now because it's probably going to be easier to get him out later. Another future thing I plan on doing is actually doing another reptile background for one of the actual upright terrariums that I made to see how this works out with the new style terrariums I'm thinking about making. Now we got all the plants and everything out the enclosure, we're going to cut over to the sink and we're going to go ahead and start washing some of these plants down. And I'll go ahead and get some of these isopods too. Alright, so we got our first plant and we want to make sure that we can clean out all the roots and get all this old dirt out from in there. It may take a little while, but you can get it all out. And then we're going to wash the leaves out and make sure all those are good. Close to the top. Because the gecko does tend to poop on it, and some of the stuff the actual cleanup crew can't get to sometimes, I feel like. So it's good to kind of take things out and clean it anyway. So the best way I found out to get this gecko out of here to really handle him and stuff is to you want to be gentle with them since they're very skittish creatures. So I always have a piece of like plexiglass or something that I can easily get him to crawl onto. So that way I'm not actually grabbing him and I can easily transport him and move him around. And that seems to be the easiest thing instead of trying to grab a hold of this gecko and things, because they can bite and they can lose their tail and drop skin and other things like that, and you don't want that to happen. So this is probably the best way to not freak them out. So always have your bucket ready to the side right here. And I got the lid over here on the other side, it should be fine, but what I like to do is just kind of put the glass in front of him and kind of tap him on the tail a little bit, and you're trying to get him to walk on the glass. And then once he's on the glass, you can move him around and do whatever.
smart don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on them.
But why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
We got him out. He's not scared, and he didn't drop his tail or anything. So now we got that. We can just sit him in our bucket and just put the lid on. Because at times you're gonna have to actually handle creatures, even though they're not the most handleable creatures, but you still have to know how to safely move them around so that way you can work with them. And once you got that secure, you should be good to go. And we'll go ahead and put him off to the side. And now we can actually start getting all this dirt and stuff out of the actual terrarium so we can actually get it good and cleaned out. So now that we got the majority of the dirt and stuff already out of the enclosure, I'm just going to take it outside and dump out the drainage rocks and get the last little bit of dirt out so we can actually clean it. So now we're back and we got the terrarium cleaned out. We got to go ahead and clean off the walls and get some of the extra dirt and other things like that off the inside so that way we can go ahead and clean the glass on the inside. And what I'm using is just a real watered down bleach solution, maybe a 5% bleach solution compared to the whole bottle. And this is just for sanitary purposes, just to clean all the extra gunk and stuff out of here. It's really good to actually go through and clean your enclosures out maybe once a month or once every 2 months and give it a good deep clean like this. So that way you know you're not building up any weird bacteria or anything like that doesn't really need to be there. So as before, we have our pH down that we used in our last video. If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. YouTube card in the top right section of the video. But this is some really good stuff. It's usually used to lower pH in aquariums, but what we're going to be using it for today is actually clean off the water stains that's on the glass in the terrarium right here. The reason why this works is because it's a base substance that builds up on the side of this glass here, and the pH down is a little acidic substance, and it helps to break down those more basic substances to get everything back clean again. So basically what we do is we pour a little bit of the pH down on something like a Scotch-Brite pad, kind of like this right here. You don't really need a lot. Kind of let it drip down, then you can go start scrubbing. Alright, so for the next part of the video, we're going to be going and putting our drainage layer in. And as before, we're going to be using a different kind of rocks than the usual drainage rocks that we were using before. We're just gonna be using pea gravel. I feel like the pea gravel is gonna be a little bit easier to use. All right, and moving on to the next thing, we have our screen for our drainage layer to make sure we don't get any soil or anything mixed into there. And one thing you always want to make sure to do is cut out your screen a little bit bigger than the area you're working with. So that way you don't have anything get mixed up into your drainage layer. And that's gonna be fine, just like this. But you can always fold down the corners and everything will be fine. So we're gonna add some of this soil we have here in first. It'll be our good bottom layer. It has all the good stuff for our plants in it. And this is going to help lay everything down for our drainage layer down here at the bottom. So that way you can maneuver it around to make sure you get the entirety of it covered. For added humidity, we're going to be adding in a whole bunch of cypress mulch. This stuff holds humidity really well, so this is always something real good to use. But you have to make sure that it's 100% cypress mulch. So once we get a little bit in here, we can kind of give it a little bit of tossing around. So for the first thing that I want to do here, we're going to go ahead and start putting our plants back in. I want to start with my biggest plant, and I think I want to plant this one somewhere closer to the back. This guy's going to grow up and is going to need a little bit more space. I'm probably going to pull it a little bit closer this way. We're going to get this one in here. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and put one of our sticks in here. I think I'm going to put this stick back here in the back like it was before. So that way we can build a little bit of a ledge for them with the cork bark later on. And our other stick, I believe, was over here on this side. So what we can do, we can change it up. And I believe we can probably put a stick here on this side. Give us a little bit more room. All right, so for the final thing what we have to do is we have to get our gecko out of the extra enclosure that we had here and get him back into his new one. So I went ahead and got him out, and as I mentioned before, I put the whole entire piece of plexiglass just inside of the container. And normally he'll stay on top of that, so I can just pick it right back up as I did before and open the enclosure up and just kind of nudge him a little bit on the tail and he'll go inside on his own. So. And just like that, we're good to go. So we're finally done with the whole entire thing. We got the gecko inside. I'm gonna give you guys a close-up so that way you get a good look of how everything looks, and tell me what you guys think of the whole enclosure setup this time around and anything I can do to make it better. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and hit a like button as well. And if you want to see some more of my videos, I'll post them on the right side of the screen, so you guys can go check those out. And thanks for watching.